How's Micah? Because he's a bit of conflict domestically about whether he's on his way back or still.
Again, Micah's progressing. To be honest with you, I mean, we really, when our immediate concern is always for players that are on the horizon to come back and things, and you know, Micah's not quite there yet. So it's a medical question rather than a question to us. He's progressing, but
he was suggesting 3 or 4 months when he was asked about it. That's end of January time. Is that about right? Do you think?
Well, when was it he did it?
A month ago, 6 weeks.
I mean, in terms of getting back to playing, without knowing it, again, you'd have to ask the medical people, but without knowing it, even if he gets back on a training pitch in 2-3 weeks, he's going to need some time after that time. So it's probably going to be more akin to a 3-month thing, I think. Yeah.
Just an unbeaten record. You mentioned that you lost in the league this season. I mean, what does that kind of do for the squad in terms of the mentality? Because does it eventually become a thing that you try to protect?
No, I don't think you try and protect it. You try and, I mean, what this team has learnt to do, I think, over the 2 years is going to every football match and believe in itself to win that football match. So I think that you know, the unbeaten runs there, it becomes a thing that people talk about, but in many ways, you know, it counts for nothing if you're drawing games and drawing games and drawing games, and you know, we see that after 13 games we're still a point behind against you know, United that have lost 3 games, but the fact that they've got the 10 victories. But no, we were not going to, well, we are going to try and protect it, but not to the point where we stop trying to win games. You know?
Does it give an edge against opposition, or does it make them more, a little bit keener to sort of break that one?
I don't think so. I think that, you know, had we been beaten at Stamford Bridge, I don't think Roberto Martinez would be looking at this game and thinking to himself, right, he wouldn't be affronting it any different than he would be whether we'd won, drawn or lost. I don't think I think it's irrelevant for people, to be honest.
And for your players, do you think, for your team, do you think it does help a little bit, you know, against the opposition, or if they're unbeaten, you know?
No, I don't think so. I think it gives you a confidence that you're difficult to beat, certainly, yes. But that's all it does. But as I say, it's you know, the stats are there. You know, if we get beat in 1 game, but we win 3 rather than winning 2, drawing 1, we're 2 points better off. You know.
Can I ask you about Scott Sinclair? Because the move doesn't seem to have worked in terms of appearances for you. You know, now that Jack's been injured and Matai's out a couple of games now, but Scott seems to be fit, but he's just not figuring as much as people might expect him to. So.
How much Scott's in there? I mean, you know, when we took Scott, we made it. You know, if you remember, we sold Adam. That we were probably having similar questions and similar discussions about Adam. He was fit, but he wasn't featuring as much as he wanted to. Every player will want to feature more. Scott's doing fine. He's done well when he's come on into games and when he started games as well. He's done okay. But again, we have a big squad and everybody's aware of that. We felt that when Adam was leaving, that we needed the characteristics within the squad that Scott provides. I don't, you know, as I say, any player would want to figure more than he has done, but we still think that he's a valued member of the squad with the characteristics that he's got, and he's going to help us.
When he came from playing regularly for Swansea, so it must be difficult for him to turn to reconcile that he's not playing every week in City.
Well, I think when a player comes to this football club, they're going to have to accept that they're not going to play week in, week out. Some players will come and play more than others. But as I say, you know, when we spoke to Scott, he knew what he was coming into, that it was a big squad. And you know, the manager's door is always open. You know, at the end of the day, for any player really, if they feel that it's, you know, that they want to go and play as Adam did, then that door's open. But he hasn't made any noises about that. He seems happy enough, and we're happy to have him.
Is James Milner ever a player who you consider playing defensive midfield role? Because he has said himself in the past that some of his best football was in central midfield for Villa. Is that a role that you think he could do for you?
James can play in any position, you know. At the end of the day, he can play central midfield, offensively, defensively. He can play wide in a 3. He can play as a wing back. He can play wide in a 4 as a either if we want to shut one side down of the pitch, we can do that with James. If we also want to get somebody that takes the game forward, we can do. He fits a variety of positions, I think.
Because the attributes he has, the grittiness, etc., does seem quite suited for that defensive midfield role.
I think it'd be silly to pigeonhole him, to be honest. As I say, I think he's got the qualities to play a variety of positions.
What are you expecting from your Wigan today? Because it's your moving today, isn't it? Don't
know.
What's that all about?
I don't know.
You got sent off though, I mean, is that right?
Yeah. I don't know. I can't. Listen, I mean, things got. It's a mistake of mine, really. You know, I grumbled about the referee to the fourth official. Letter of the law says you can't do that. Fine, you accept it. You accept the responsibility and accept the decision.
How will it affect you next week? Because at the moment you've got a one-match ban, which we hate managers being banned by assistant management. But how does it kind of affect you next week? Mr. Tripp.
I put a suit on instead of a tracksuit. That's what it affects me. I mean,
It's like a hamper, David. Smoking yourself in a hamper.
I don't. I mean, to be honest with you, I think, you know, as far as I'm aware, that the suspension relates to the bench. It doesn't relate to the stadium. So I just go and I'll stay in the stand.
But you can't panic in the dressing rooms and things like that. It's more stringent than the Premier League one.
Fine, whatever the rules are, and that's I just have to, you know, adapt to them. I can't do anything about it. You know.
David, one of the unsavoury, one of the unfortunate, rather, talking points at the moment is the unsavoury chanting that seems to be creeping in, and particularly what happened at Tottenham on Sunday. Does that concern you as a football coach that this sort of thing seems to be creeping in more and more, and could be as unacceptable and
I think it's something that, you know, what we can all have opinions based on what we think, and you know, I think it's hard for anybody, I think, if they're asked that question, to turn around and say they think it's right and proper that things like that should happen. But you know, we have enough as football coaches to do that we can actually do something about. You know, we can fill 24 hours a day of things that we can do something about. Whether I agree with it, disagree with it wholeheartedly, 100%. I haven't got the time to go onto a campaign to be able to stop it. I can't stop it. It's impossible for me to stop. So therefore, you know, it's a peripheral thing that I can have an opinion on, but that opinion is a barroom opinion. It's not something I can actually go on a crusade about, really.
So Harry Redknapp expressed the concerns this morning that we might be slipping back towards the sort of mood that you got around football grounds in the 1970s. Where, you know,
again, it's an opinion, but.
Do you think we're giving it too much focus? Is the focus we're giving it making it worse? Shooting it almost?
I don't know. Let me ask you the question. Do you think that? Because I don't write it. I don't actually write anything.
No, I don't think generally mean that the TV stations, radio stations, if it's a debate.
Well, I've come in here now. I mean, I've answered 2 questions on it. And there's another one coming. I don't know what that is. I'm trying to answer the question. As I say, I mean, it's the same answer. It's something I can't do anything about. So I can answer your question, but we can have this conversation over a cup of coffee rather than having it in the media if you want, and I'll give the same opinion. But
Okay, you two guys, just one more. Jolien, you talked about you can only fit 11 players in, but I think people were surprised he wasn't on the bench even on Sunday. Why would that have been?
Very simple. There's a number of reasons, I think, why the manager would pick people. Vinny was going into the game injured. Had Vinny not played, then Colo would have played. You know, right-sided centre half, Colo would have played. Our doubt before the game was whether Vinny was going to get through it. It was quite simple. You know, when you're looking at your bench, you're putting players on your bench that you think you'll utilise and you'll need. He's not in the starting 11. There's only 7 that can go on the bench. It's no more than that. There's nothing sinister in it. It's not picked on form, on ability, or anything like that. It's picked on a strategical thing.
Okay, cheers guys.
Right. Cheers, fans.